Well, in November, voters will not only head to the polls to choose a president of the United States, they'll also be choosing a U.S. senator for Louisiana. The incumbent in that seat currently is Republican Bill Cassidy. He has about a dozen challengers. One of those challengers, unofficially seen as the front runner, is Democrat Adrian Perkins. He is the mayor of Shreveport, and he joins us via Zoom now. Mayor Perkins, thanks for coming on the show.
Happy to be here.
So we'll start with one of the biggest criticisms I've seen so far of your campaign, and that is that you haven't finished your term as mayor in Shreveport yet, and this is a time where Shreveport really needs some leadership. How do you answer that charge?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I've stepped up working with our local leadership in a massive way. I've gotten bipartisan support on the way that I've led our city through this effort. I've had to make tough decisions. I mandated masks before even the governor did so and was sued for it to protect my citizens. I've been there every step of the way with my citizens, and I will continue to do that on the campaign trail. At this current moment, the things that I'll be talking about on the campaign trail are exactly the same issues that we're dealing with in Shreveport. Hey, how do we stop the bleeding in our economy? Hey, how do we keep our citizens safe? Hey, our strong leaders need to be present. So that's exactly what I'm going to present now. And again, I want to add this. 2 months ago, I had no interest in this whatsoever. I was dead set and focused on my job as being the mayor of Shreveport. It's my hometown. I love it. But the senator's failures and his lack of presence in this moment is exactly why I'm jumping into this race.
Okay, so yeah, let's hash that out a little bit. Nobody runs for an office and says, hey, the current guy, he's doing an okay job. I want to step in there. So what has Senator Cassidy done that you think could have been done better?
Yeah, and let me just start with top of mind. This is, I get emailed, my inbox is full at work with emails from my citizens saying, hey, we don't know what we are going to do if these unemployment benefits expire. These are working class families who are dying to get back to work, but we've lost hundreds of jobs in Shreveport. We've lost thousands of jobs across the state, good paying jobs. So these working class families, they can't even find work. And it's up to government in this moment to provide relief. That's exactly why they pay into unemployment. That's exactly why they pay into local, state, and federal government. But the Senate has sit on the HEROES bill, although it's not perfect. They've sit on it for 2 months. They don't have the same sense of urgencies that these families have. And how am I going to feed my children tomorrow? How am I going to clothe them? How am I going to keep my housing? And that's exactly what we need in D.C. And we have not seen that kind of leadership out of the senator.
Well, Republicans would push back on that and say that the Democrats haven't come to the table and actually agreed to some of the things that they want in the bill as well. In fact, just spoke to Cassidy the other day. He talked about not doing away with the unemployment benefit and extending it just like the Democrats want. He wants to extend it and do sort of a phase out and make sure that Louisiana's unemployment rate is at a point to where it can be phased out.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I'll say this first. The Democratic House passed that bill on to the Republican-led Senate 2 months ago on May 15th. Today, that's 75 days of inaction from them. So in starting that conversation, the Senate should have at least handed them something back to work with at this time, rather than us facing this cliff in this moment. But even more so, this shouldn't be about partisanship in this particular moment, whether you're Democrat or Republican. You should see and you should be working for those working class families of Louisiana. So going back and forth is a luxury that those families don't have. We need to get this done, and we've had 75 days to do so. So conversations this late is really not helping anybody.
Mayor Perkins, as I mentioned, there are about a dozen candidates in this race. I know that speaking to some pundits, they tell me that you stand out, and they gave me their reasons for standing out. But I want to hear in your own words, what makes you stand out from the pack?
Yeah, well, I'm not a long-term politician. I have been an elected official for over a year and a half now. My leadership does not come from debates or anything that you get in politics. My leadership comes from the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan, where I had to make life and death decisions every single day. And that's the type of leadership that we need in the U.S. Senate right now. That's the type of understanding of foreign policy. That's the type of understanding of what's fighting for what's right and stepping up in big moments in times of crisis. So I think that I kind of separate myself from the pack because I'm the non-traditional elected official. I haven't been in this for a long time, and I'm bringing a very unique perspective. But at the end of the day, I'm mission focused, and I'm going to serve the citizens of Louisiana best as I can.
Mayor, you mentioned non-traditional. I want to really get a sense of what kind of Democrat you are. You know, we have a Democratic governor who describes himself as pro-life. He's even backed that up by signing legislation, pro-life legislation. Louisiana has some restrictive abortion laws on the books that's being challenged in the courts. So where do you stand on abortion? Are you pro-life or pro-choice?
Where I stand on this is a topic that people of goodwill, good conscience often differ. This is a very, very personal issue that I think a woman should be consulting with her doctor, her family, and her God in making that decision.
So I'm going to press you one last time. Can you at least say whether you're pro-choice or pro-life?
Yeah, I think a woman legally has the right to choose. But in this conversation with, hey, how do we value life, right? That's the basis of that particular topic. We got to value life in a whole lot of ways, even outside of that. And I think my record shows that, hey, I've talked about investing in childcare. I've talked about investing in, early childhood education that helps outcomes of life, that helps protect people. I've talked about, hey, bolstering the Affordable Care Act and making sure all Louisianans have health insurance. So we can't be so narrow to just focus on that. And at the end of the day, this election will not be about one particular topic.
You're a combat veteran, by the way. Thank you for your service. So with that said, I wanted to ask you where you stand on gun control as well.
Yeah, well, I'm a proud gun owner myself. And yes, I am a combat veteran. I have been trained and proficient on some very complicated weapon systems, and I understand and respect the strong tradition of gun ownership in America. At the same token, I have seen the devastation of these weapons, not only in Iraq and Afghanistan, but in the streets of Shreveport. And I am open to reforms such as closing loopholes and background checks.
And you mentioned the pandemic earlier. We only have a couple minutes left, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on kids going back to school. Do you believe kids should actually physically be in the classroom, or does that concern you?
Yeah, I think that in this particular moment, and I was with my school board superintendent last night speaking at a high school graduation. I think in this particular moment, we need to continue to do what I've been doing the whole time, and that's listening to the experts and what they say. If the experts say, hey, it's okay and it's a good idea to go back when that time comes, we need to listen to them. If the virus gets a vote, which it does, and we forget that, and our numbers are continuing to go out of control, I think there's going to be a lot of anxiety, continued anxiety from parents and children alike that have to go in these classrooms. There are a lot of grandparents that watch our kids after they get home. So it could be a dangerous situation. But in this moment, I think we should just listen to the experts, and that way we can make sure we're ensuring the safety of our children and our community overall.
All right, Mayor Adrian Perkins, Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We'll be following your campaign closely.
Thank you for having me.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back with more This Week in Louisiana Politics.